The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Anna Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species. Her dark eyes swept across the semicircular hall, taking in the crystalline forms of the Vorath, the floating gas entities of the Zephyrians, and the towering, insectoid Krell. Each species had cast their vote, and the holographic display behind her showed the results in cold, unforgiving numbers. Unanimous exile. "You cannot do this," Anna said, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "Humanity has contributed to galactic science, art, and commerce for 3 generations. We've followed every protocol, every law." The Vorath Prime Speaker refracted light through its crystalline body, creating patterns that the translation device rendered as words. "Your species grows too quickly, Ambassador Chen. Your cities consume worlds. Your fleets multiply like bacteria. You are a plague upon the orderly structure of galactic civilization." "We're ambitious," Anna countered. "That's not a crime." "It is when left unchecked." The Krell representative clicked through its mandibles. "In 2 centuries, humanity has colonized 80 systems. The Vorath took 4 millennia to reach such numbers. The pattern is clear. You will consume everything if permitted to continue." Anna's communication device buzzed. A message from Captain Jixon Reeves, commander of the Human Defense Fleet stationed at the system's edge. "They're powering weapons. Get out now." She straightened her shoulders. "Then we'll leave. But you're making a mistake. Humanity doesn't forget." The vote was executed within hours. Every human colony within Galactic Council space received the same message. Vacate within 1 standard year or face extermination. 2 billion humans scattered across the inner galaxy began the greatest exodus in history. Jixon Reeves stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching refugee ships stream past like a river of light. Each vessel carried families, scientists, soldiers, the entire spectrum of humanity compressed into whatever could fly. His jaw clenched as another distress call came through. The Krell weren't waiting for the deadline. They were already attacking outlying colonies. "Captain, we have to fight back," his tactical officer urged. "No," Jixon said quietly. "We retreat. But we remember every ship they destroy, every life they take. Humanity will have its reckoning, but not today." The human fleet formed a protective barrier around the fleeing civilians, absorbing attacks meant for defenseless transports. Jixon watched his sensor display as 3 destroyers took critical damage to save a colony ship full of children. The Indomitable shuddered as plasma fire scorched its hull, but Jixon's orders remained unchanged. Protect the Exodus, no matter the cost. Anna's diplomatic transport joined the fleet 3 weeks into the retreat. She found Jixon in his ready room, staring at a star chart that showed the vast emptiness beyond the galactic rim. 217 ships lost, he said without looking up. 30,000 dead. "They're not just expelling us, Anna. They're trying to cripple us." "Then we'll prove them wrong," Anna replied, sitting across from him. "How far out are we going?" Jixon pointed to a region of space beyond the galaxy's edge, where stars were sparse and ancient. "There, the Abyss Cluster, 60 dwarf galaxies orbiting our own, each with millions of stars. The Council never bothered to explore them. They considered it a wasteland." "And we'll make it paradise," Anna said with a slight smile. "Humanity has always thrived when pushed to the edge." 50 years passed in the Abyss Cluster. The exiled humans, freed from the Council's regulations and restrictions, exploded outward with the fury of a species that had been told it could not exist. Jixon, now an aging admiral, commanded fleets that numbered in the thousands. Anna, appointed as the first chancellor of the Terran Confederacy, negotiated alliances with species the Council had ignored, refugees, outcasts, and indigenous civilizations that had never known the inner galaxy. Human engineers, unbound by alien safety protocols, developed jump drives that could cross the voids between dwarf galaxies in days rather than months. Human scientists, no longer restricted by Council ethical committees, pushed genetic and cybernetic enhancements to revolutionary heights. Human architects constructed ring worlds and Dyson spheres around dying stars, extracting every ounce of energy from systems the Council had deemed worthless. The Confederacy didn't just survive, it thrived. 10,000 colonies spread across the Abyss Cluster. Populations that had been measured in billions now reached trillions. Where the Council saw slow, methodical expansion as virtue, humanity saw stagnation. Where the Council feared rapid growth, humanity saw potential. Then came the distress call from the inner galaxy. Anna, now in her 80s but still sharp-minded, listened to the transmission in the Confederacy's capital on New Terra. The message was from a Vorath colony under attack by an extragalactic threat, a machine intelligence that consumed everything in its path. The swarm, as it was called, had already destroyed 15 council worlds. "They want our help," Anna said to Jixon, who sat beside her in his admiral's uniform, medals covering his chest. "The same species that cast us out now begs for our aid." Jixon's weathered face showed no emotion. "What's your recommendation, Chancellor?" Anna looked at the tactical displays showing the Confederacy's might. 5 million warships, technology decades ahead of the Council's, trillions of citizens ready to prove humanity's worth. She thought of the 30,000 who had died during the Exodus, of the children who had grown up as refugees, of the species that had been told it was a plague. "We help them," Anna said finally, "not because they deserve it, but because we're better than they are. Humanity doesn't abandon civilizations to extinction, even civilizations that abandoned us." Jixon nodded slowly. "Then we go back, but on our terms." The Confederacy fleet emerged at the edge of Council space like an avenging angel. 15,000 warships bearing the banner of humanity's new empire, each one bristling with weapons the Council had never imagined. Jixon, in overall command, issued a single broadcast to all Council worlds. Humanity was banished for being too ambitious, too aggressive, too expansive. "You called us a plague. Perhaps you were right. We are a plague of hope, of determination, of refusal to accept limits. We've returned not as supplicants, but as equals. Stand aside and we'll save your civilization from the swarm. Interfere, and you'll face the empire you created when you cast us into the dark." The Battle of the Sagittarius Arm lasted 6 months. Human fleets tore through the swarm with tactics the Council had never considered. Aggressive, unpredictable, willing to sacrifice ships to save civilians. Anna personally negotiated alliances with Council species, offering Confederacy technology in exchange for strategic bases. Jixon's forces pushed the swarm back system by system, world by world. When the final swarm mothership fell to a concentrated human assault, the galaxy fell silent once more. The Vorath Prime Speaker, a different entity than the one who had exiled humanity, stood before Anna and Jixon in what had once been the Council chambers. "We were wrong," the Vorath admitted. "Humanity was never a plague. You were evolution incarnate, and we feared change." Anna smiled, but there was steel in her eyes. "Humanity will not rejoin the Galactic Council. We've built something better in the Abyss, an empire where ambition is celebrated, not feared. But we'll maintain diplomatic relations. Perhaps someday you'll learn what we already know. The only limits that matter are the ones we refuse to accept." As the human fleet departed Council space, returning to the empire they had forged beyond the heavens, both Anna and Jixon looked back at the galaxy that had rejected them. It seemed smaller now, less significant. Humanity had been cast into the darkness and had returned bearing light. The galaxy had banished them as a threat. They had returned as saviors. And in doing so, they had proven what humanity had always known, that even in exile, even in the void, humans would not merely survive. They would conquer.